Good show for you now. Before we get to all of that, one of the most dire consequences of a Donald Trump presidency may be its impact on climate change. And if there was any hope that Trump might soften his positions on climate issues after he won, his cabinet picks tell a different story. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Climate scientists now say 2016 will be the hottest year in Earth's recorded history, which means 16 of the 17 hottest years on record have come since 2000. Of course, the other hottest year on record came in 1863 when Mary Todd Lincoln took a boob out at the Gettysburg Address. So just to recap, 2016, it was the hottest year ever. Donald Trump won the presidency, and on top of that, the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. I'm pretty sure that's 3 out of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse right there. If Dirty Grandpa wins Best Picture at the Oscars, we done for. And in case you think the only consequences of climate change are hotter temperatures, scientists are also warning that the changing climate might even be affecting one of our greatest Christmas icons.
Santa may need to add a few more reindeer to his team from now on. Researchers say Arctic reindeer are actually getting smaller, and they say it's all because of climate change. Researchers studied the reindeer for the past 2 decades and say the reindeer have been losing weight. They're actually down about 15 pounds since 1994.
And making matters worse, like anyone who loses 15 pounds, the reindeer are now posting selfies. And the effect of the hotter temperatures this year has been especially dramatic in the Arctic, where ice sheets and glaciers have melted, and scientists say those ice melts are already affecting weather patterns where you live right now. As one climate scientist put it, what happens in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic. A lesson I learned the hard way when I went to the Arctic for a bachelor party and hooked up with a penguin. And I know there aren't any penguins in the Arctic, but she was there for a bachelorette party. So the climate situation is dire, but progress has been made during the Obama era, from the Paris Climate Accords to the administration's Clean Power Plan. Activists were even able to stop the controversial North Dakota Access Pipeline, which was a major priority of pro-environment politicians like Bernie Sanders, who energized crowds with his opposition to the pipeline.
The powers that be will continue to move this country forward toward an oligarchic form of society. Stop the Dakota pipeline! Damn right.
Damn right. That's the same thing he says when they call his number at the deli. 82? Damn right. Chicken soup and free saltines. I will not pay for saltines. And then there's Donald Trump. Obviously, his statements on climate change have not been promising, like his infamous claim that the concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese, as opposed to Trump, who was created by and for the Russians. But still, you might think at least we can agree on things like investing in clean energy, which would be good for the climate and manufacturing, but Trump even seems to have a bizarre vendetta against wind power in particular. If you watched his rallies at all this year, you might have noticed that his hatred of windmills is kind of an obsession for him.
Wind is very tough because those windmills are very, very expensive, and they kill the birds, and they look very terrible. Isn't it amazing the way the environmentalists love the windmills, and yet they kill all the birds? A wind turbine that kills all the bald eagles all over. Okay, that's okay with them, right? Even though it needs subsidy. The wind kills all your birds. All your birds killed. The environmentalists never talk about that. And I wouldn't exactly say it makes your farmlands look beautiful. You got all these windmills all over the place driving you loco when you look at them, right?
Of course, Trump's real fear is that when you destroy a bird's nest, it has to find a new one. But after Trump won the election, there was a brief flurry of optimism that Trump might soften some of his positions on environmental issues, not because of his own opinions on the subject, but because of his daughter, Ivanka.
Ivanka Trump wants to make climate change part of her platform.
Ivanka Trump could be a climate czar in her father's administration.
She's met twice with Leonardo DiCaprio to talk about the environment.
Ivanka Trump, daughter of the president-elect, met with former Vice President Al Gore today to talk about climate change.
She met with Leonardo DiCaprio first and then Al Gore. That is the wrong order. I'll have the hot fudge sundae for dinner, and for dessert, a cold bag of peas. So Ivanka's interest in climate change gave people a glimmer of hope, but of course Trump's team moved quickly to snuff out that glimmer by reassuring everyone that Trump still thinks climate change is totally made up. Like Trump advisor and Wall Street investor Anthony Scaramucci, who went on CNN to compare climate science to the ancient theory that the Earth was flat.
I know that the current president believes that the human beings are affecting the climate. There are scientists that believe that that's not happening. I think that,
the overwhelming consensus in the scientific community is that man's actions have an impact on science. So you have to correct that whenever it comes out. Go ahead.
Chris, there was an overwhelming science that the Earth was flat, and there was an overwhelming science that
you learn over time.
We were the center of the world. 100%. You know, we get a lot of things wrong in the scientific community.
Who's we? You're not a part of the scientific community. It's hard to imagine this conversation among scientists. This climate change data is troubling. We should examine it. Yeah, all right. Hey, Scaramouche, get in here. We gotta go through all this data. So much data over here. And then Trump confirmed everyone's fears by scouring the country to find the worst possible choice to head the Environmental Protection Agency, Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt. Pruitt is a loyal ally of oil and gas companies and has received tens of thousands of dollars from the energy industry. He's even defended a natural gas drilling technique known as fracking, despite the fact that it has literally caused a spike in earthquakes in his home state. Just last month, a report found that the state has seen a severe spike in earthquakes since 2008, when energy companies ramped up their fracking. The number of 3.0 magnitude quakes rose from 2 in 2008 to 889 last year. They went from 2 earthquakes a year to 889. How do you host a game night in Oklahoma? It must be impossible to get through a game of Jenga. Seriously though, 889 earthquakes in a year? I'm starting to think Dirty Grandpa is gonna win that Oscar. So climate activists were disappointed by these nominations, but then Trump doubled down, naming former Texas Governor Rick Perry as his Secretary of Energy. You probably won't be surprised to hear that Perry thinks climate change is a contrived, phony mess, and has claimed that climate scientists, quote, have manipulated data so that they will have dollars rolling into their projects. You think climate scientists are getting rich off this stuff? Have you seen how they dress? They look like they were shoved into a Goodwill store naked and given 90 seconds to pick an outfit. The craziest thing is that Rick Perry will be replacing Ernest Moniz, a world-renowned nuclear physicist from MIT. And Moniz was himself preceded by Nobel Prize-winning physicist Stephen Chu. So who should we believe on climate change? Who are the greatest scientific minds, Moniz and Chu or Rick Perry? Well, the Daily Beast recently looked at Perry's college transcripts and found that Perry took 4 chemistry courses and got 2 C's, a D, and an F. He got a C in physics and a D in something called meat. How do you get a D in meat? Are you a Chipotle? Pop quiz, Rick. Meat or not meat? Oh, boy. I know it's one or the other. Maybe the worst thing about the Trump administration's climate agenda is that they'll have a compliant Republican Congress ready and willing to kowtow to the oil and gas lobby. For example, earlier this month, the House Science Committee tweeted out a link to a totally bogus story published by Breitbart News claiming global temperatures plunge, icy silence from climate alarmists. The bogus tweet prompted this singer from Bernie Sanders, who tweeted back, quote, "Where'd you get your PhD? Trump University?" Guess it was only a matter of time before Bernie Sanders turned into the Don Rickles of politics. Even the Weather Channel got involved because the Breitbart article misleadingly cited a Weather Channel video. The meteorologist in that video responded with a new video debunking Breitbart's cherry-picked facts.
So last week, Breitbart.com published an article claiming that global warming was nothing but a scare and global temperatures were actually falling. Here's the thing, science doesn't care about your opinion. Cherry-picking and twisting the facts will not change the future nor the fact, note fact, not opinion, that the Earth is warming.
Bernie, any thoughts?
Damn right.
There you go. So the climate situation may well be dire under a Trump administration, which is why we need to keep bringing attention to it. It's literally life or death. Without a strong response, we could be in for more Arctic melting, extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and earthquakes. And that's not good because I still have feelings for her. This has been A Closer Look.